What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your friendly group of gamers. We are so excited today to present 25 tips and tricks for Valorant. In this video, we'll focus on agent abilities and gameplay, strategies and virus map, tricks to catch your opponent off guard, and so much more. Before we start, we would like to thank everyone as we've gained 59 subscribers and our first video received over 420 views. We hope that this video will be just as successful. Once again, thank you, and without further ado, let's start.
If you're playing Reyna, try to throw your blind either higher or close to the ground. This makes it harder for your opponents to break your blind and aim back at you since their crosshair will be at different levels. Remember that if you're playing Reyna or Omen, your blind doesn't fully make your opponent sightless. They can still see you from a close distance. With this in mind, don't get too close to your target if they are blinded.
If you're playing Phoenix, avoid standing right next to a corner when you're about to flash. If you do this, there's a high chance that you will blind yourself and the team is behind you. Instead, try to approach the corner at a diagonal angle and flash like this. This gives your opponents less time to react. If you're playing agents who have deployable walls as an ability such as Viper, Phoenix, and Neon, try to aim higher or over things so that your wall will go a longer distance and cover more ground. Here is another example when playing the agent Neon.
As Jet or Raze, you can get into higher places to surprise your opponents. For example, you can make these box jumps on Heaven. If you're playing KO, try to throw your knife in places where your opponents can break it. For example, you can throw it on the opposite side of the wall where your opponents are rushing from. This will make sure that you're able to detain their abilities and gather information for your team without any risk. You should enable the bloom setting under video graphics to make abilities such as Sova darts and players easier to see.
Revealing area. There they are. Revealing area. Found them.
You can hold the Alt button on your keyboard to see the health and abilities that your teammates have. This feature is available before, after, and during the round.
If you are playing a smoke agent such as Brimstone or Omen, make sure your smokes aren't extending over to the area where you're coming from. These smokes give your opponent space to lurk into and cover once they get a kill. Instead, try to smoke deeper into the area where your opponents are going to pick from. This makes it harder for enemies to pick as they will have to pick into an open area with no cover. Get the ulti orbs around the map. This will help you and your team get their ultimates faster rather than just depending on kills and rounds to gain your ulti. This is especially useful with agents with powerful ultis such as Killjoy and Breach. Play together with your team. If your Jet sees many opponents at A site, you should rotate to help him out. If your teammate throws a flash around a corner, pick with them so you can get more kills.
The outer ring on the spike starts to close in, there's not enough time to defuse the spike. If it hasn't closed in, you're good to defuse. If your team has taken the side, try to plant in an open area such as on top of the tube on bind. This will make it harder for your opponents to defuse as they will have to worry about clearing more angles while defusing with minimal cover. Remember that you can shoot through many of the walls in Valorant. You can use this to delay the attacker's push onto side. This is especially useful if paired with Sovereign Dart. A main on bind is a great example.
Let's stay on bind and talk about the teleporter trick. You control an ability through the teleporter to open the doors and going to surprise your opponents. This trick is quite popular, so don't do it often in a match. as they might expect it. If you're playing Omen, you can simply press R to change the way of your smoke. You'll be able to see the map in your regular vision. If you're playing Sage, you can go on the top of your wall as it's being placed. This creates an off angle which makes it harder for your opponents to hit you. Try adjusting your wall in a way where your opponent will have to break more than one segment. For example, this wall on a tree in Ascent.
As KO, you need to remember that your molly doesn't do damage around corners. This is important when learning lineups or just simply using your molly for side control. If you're using the Frenzy or Spectre, you can run and gun to surprise and possibly annoy your opponents. These guns are still relatively accurate even when moving while shooting at a close distance.
Do not aim down sight with the Vandal or the Phantom. It makes your gun shoot slower and you become more immobile. The only exception is if the target is really far away. When you have the spike planted, it's usually better to play passive. The defenders are against time to defuse the spike and you can use that to your advantage. They will have to push the area that you've already taken and you can set up crossfires with your team to shut down their retake.
If you're playing Omen and the spike is dropped somewhere on the map, you can pick it up by casting your ultimate above the spike and cancelling it immediately.
If you're using the Phantom, try to take fights with closer distances. This is because the Phantom deals less damage the farther your target is. So before you shoot, try to close the distance first between you and your target.
The last tip for today is not to be toxic to your teammates. Valorant is a team-based game that requires teamwork, coordination, and the right mindsets. Even though your teammates aren't playing that well, trash talking them won't make them improve or feel any better. And that concludes this video. We hope you learned a thing or two that you could apply in your Valorant games. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and once again, this is your friendly group of gamers, Game Explain. Have fun and enhance your play.